Welcome to Money Made Easy. If dealing with money has ever felt confusing or overwhelming, you are in the right place. On this channel, we break down how money really works in everyday life without using complicated words or giving you unrealistic advice. Today, we are going to look at something almost everyone buys, but very few people truly understand the real cost of. Let us talk about buying a car. For most people, getting a car feels like the ultimate symbol of independence. You get your driver license, you start working a job, and eventually you want your very own set of wheels. You walk into a car dealership or you browse through a website and you see a shiny vehicle that catches your eye. The very first thing that pops into your mind is usually not the total overall price of the car. Instead, your brain focuses on a much smaller, much more dangerous number: the monthly payment. You look at your bank account and you do some simple math. You might think, I make $2,000 a month. This car costs $400 a month. 400 is less than 2,000. Therefore, I can easily afford this car. This is the exact moment where the financial trap snaps shut. Car salespeople know exactly how your brain works. They are highly trained to keep your focus entirely on the monthly payment. If you tell them a car is too expensive, they usually will not lower the actual price of the car. Instead, they will just stretch the loan out. They will change your loan from 4 years to 6 years, or even 7 years. Magically, the monthly payment goes down. You feel like you just won a tough negotiation, but in reality, you are actually paying thousands of dollars more over time because the bank is charging you interest for those extra years. But let us set the loan and the interest aside for a moment. Let us pretend you are incredibly disciplined and you even pay pure cash for the car. The biggest mistake everyday people make is thinking that the cost of buying a car is the same as the cost of owning a car. These are two completely different things. Buying the car is just the entry fee. It is the ticket to get inside the building. Owning the car is a mandatory monthly subscription, and the price of that subscription is much higher than you think. Let us start with the silent killer of your wealth. It is a concept called depreciation. Depreciation is just a fancy financial word that means things lose their value over time. If you buy a house, you generally expect that house to be worth more money in 10 years. But a car is not a house. A car is not an investment. A car is a tool that slowly destroys its own value every single time you use it. The moment you buy a brand new car and drive its tires off the dealership lot, it instantly loses about 10 to 20% of its value. You lost thousands of dollars just by driving it across the street to your house. Why does this happen? Because the second you drive it away, it is no longer a new car. It is instantly considered a used car by the rest of the world. Over the next 5 years, that car will lose about 60% of its original value. If you buy a $30,000 car today, in 5 years, it might only be worth $12,000. That means you lost $18,000 into thin air. You do not see this cost on your monthly bank statement. No one sends you a letter in the mail asking you to please pay $300 for the value your car lost this month. Because this cost is completely invisible, most people just ignore it. But when you finally go to sell that car or trade it in for a new one, you will feel that massive loss all at once. It is real money disappearing from your life. This rapid loss of value leads to a very dangerous situation called being underwater on your loan. Being underwater has nothing to do with driving into a lake. It is a financial term that means you owe the bank more money than the car is actually worth. Imagine you buy a car for $20,000. A year later, you still owe $19,000 to the bank. But because of depreciation, the car is now only worth $15,000 on the open market. If you suddenly lose your job, or you simply cannot afford the payments anymore and need to sell the car, you have a massive problem. You can sell the car to someone for $15,000, but the bank demands their $19,000 to close the loan. You have to magically find $4,000 in cash out of your own pocket just to get rid of the car. You are literally paying thousands of dollars to have no car at all. Now let us talk about the costs you actually do see every single month. First is fuel. Unless you have an electric car, you need gas to make the engine run. People constantly underestimate how much they are going to drive. They calculate the distance from their house to their job, but they completely forget about driving to the grocery store, visiting friends across town, taking weekend trips, or sitting in heavy traffic where the engine just burns gas for 0 miles. Gas prices also change constantly. When you buy a car, gas might be cheap. A year later, the price could double. When people buy a big, heavy truck or a massive sport utility vehicle because it looks cool, they often lie to themselves. They tell themselves they will just drive less to save on gas. But life does not work that way. Your boss might ask you to commute an extra day. A family member might get sick, requiring you to drive across town every evening. You cannot control how much life forces you to drive, and every single mile in a gas guzzler drains your bank account rapidly. That original $400 monthly car payment can easily be matched by another $300 just in gas. Then there is car insurance. The law requires you to have it, and if you have a car loan, the bank strictly requires you to have full coverage. Full coverage means if you crash the car into a wall, the insurance company will step in to fix the car or pay the bank back. The bank insists on this because they do not want to risk losing their money if you ruin the vehicle. Insurance companies are essentially math machines. They are very good at calculating risk. If you are a young driver, they know mathematically you are more likely to crash. If you buy a fast sports car, they know you are probably going to drive it fast. If you live in a crowded city, they know your car is highly likely to get scratched or stolen. All of these factors make your insurance bill much more expensive. It is very common for a young person to buy a cheap, fast car, thinking they got an amazing deal, only to find out the insurance costs almost as much as the car itself. That is easily another $150 to $200 a month flying right out of your pocket. Next, we have maintenance and repairs. This is the area where people get the most frustrated. Cars are incredibly complex machines made of thousands of moving metal and plastic parts, and moving parts eventually wear out and break. It is a law of physics. There is routine maintenance that you must do. You need regular oil changes, new tires, brake pads, windshield wipers, and fluid flushes. These are not surprises. These are absolutely guaranteed expenses. If you do not pay for this routine maintenance, your car will break down much faster, leading to massively larger repair bills later on. Let us talk about something as simple as replacing tires. Every car needs tires eventually, but not all tires cost the same amount of money. If you buy a practical, small, compact car, a completely new set of 4 tires might cost you around $400 total. But if you buy a massive pickup truck or a flashy car with giant 20-inch wheels, a single tire can easily cost $400. That means replacing all 4 tires will cost you $1,600. That is an entire month of rent for many people, gone in one single afternoon just because the rubber on your wheels wore out. The same rule applies to your brakes. Heavy, fast cars need massive, expensive brakes. This brings us to one of the biggest financial traps for beginners: the cheap luxury car mistake. People look around and think, why would I buy a boring, reliable 10-year-old economy car for $5,000 when I can buy a 15-year-old luxury German car for the exact same price? I can look rich and successful on a budget. Here is the honest, brutal truth about cheap luxury cars. There is absolutely nothing more expensive than a cheap luxury car. When that vehicle was brand new, it was an incredibly expensive machine built with highly expensive parts. Just because the car got old, lost its value, and became cheap for you to buy does not mean the replacement parts magically became cheap too. If a basic engine part breaks on a boring economy car, it might cost $300 to fix. If that exact same part breaks on an old luxury car, it could cost over $1,000 because the engine is extremely complicated and the parts have to be imported from overseas. You might buy the car for $5,000, but easily spend another $5,000 in the very first year just trying to keep it running on the road. This is exactly how a cheap car becomes a disastrous mistake. You exhaust your entire savings account fixing it. Then a few months later, you cannot afford to fix the next thing that breaks. So you end up with a heavy piece of metal sitting in your driveway that you cannot even drive, but you still have to pay insurance on it, and you still might owe money on the bank loan. Let us put all these numbers together to see the true cost of ownership. Let us say you bought a car and you were super proud of that $400 monthly payment. Now you add $150 for gas. You add $150 for insurance. You set aside another $100 every month for basic maintenance and saving up for future repairs. Suddenly, that $400 car actually costs you $800 every single month in real life. And remember, we are not even counting the invisible cost of depreciation. If the car loses $200 of value a month, your true financial cost is $1,000 a month. That is $12,000 a year just for the privilege of moving your body from point A to point B. If you are bringing home $3,000 a month from your job, you are spending a full third of your working life just to maintain your transportation. This is exactly why so many hardworking people feel like they are constantly living paycheck to paycheck, even when they get a promotion or a raise at work. They get more money, and they immediately upgrade their car, absorbing all their new income into wheels and metal. So, what is the smarter approach? How do you avoid becoming car poor? First, you have to fundamentally change how you look at cars. A car is not a status symbol. It is not an extension of your personality. It is simply a transportation appliance. Its only real job is to get you where you need to go safely and reliably. When you truly understand that, you stop trying to impress strangers at traffic lights. People do not actually care about your car anyway. When you drive a fancy car, people do not look at you and admire you. They look at the car and imagine themselves driving it. When it is time to buy, you need to look at the total cost of ownership before you sign anything. Do not guess. Call an insurance company and ask them exactly how much it will cost to insure that specific vehicle. Look up the fuel efficiency. If you commute an hour a day, look for cars known for high gas mileage. Then, research the reliability of that specific model. Some car brands are famous for lasting 20 years with very few problems. Other brands are famous for spending half their life broken down in the repair shop. Choose the boring, reliable brand. Boring is beautiful when it comes to personal finance. Boring means you get to keep your cash. If you need a simple guideline to protect yourself, many financial experts suggest something close to the 24-10 rule. This is just a tool to keep you from ruining your budget. The 20 means you should aim to put down a 20% down payment. If you cannot afford 20% in cash, you probably cannot afford the car. This cash payment protects you from owing more than the car is worth the minute you drive it off the lot. The 4 means you should not finance the car for more than 4 years. Dealerships want you to finance for 7 years to lower the monthly payment. But stretching the loan means you pay massive amounts of interest to the bank. The 10 is the most important part of the rule. Your total monthly vehicle costs, including the loan payment, gas, and insurance, should not be more than 10% of your total monthly income. If you make $3,000 a month, 10% is $300. That means your loan, insurance, and gas combined must fit inside $300. For most beginners, this harsh reality means they need to buy a much cheaper, older, more reliable car than they originally daydreamed about. This might sound disappointing. It might mean you cannot drive the car you wanted to show off to your friends. But the deep peace of mind that comes from actually having money left over at the end of every month is far better than the temporary joy of driving a flashy car. Let us talk about what happens when you keep your car costs low. This introduces a powerful concept called opportunity cost. Every single dollar you spend feeding a depreciating car is a dollar you cannot use for something that actually improves your life or builds your wealth. Remember that $800 a month total car expense we calculated earlier? Imagine if you bought a reliable, boring used car with cash instead. Your only costs are gas and insurance. Maybe your total cost drops to $300 a month. You just magically freed up $500 every single month. What could you do with $500 a month? You could pay off your stressful credit card debt in a matter of months. You could build a solid emergency fund. When life throws a surprise at you, like a medical bill or a broken refrigerator, it is just a minor annoyance instead of a massive panic attack. Or you could invest it. If you take that $500 a month and put it into simple, boring investments over the next 10 years, that money will start to multiply all on its own. Instead of pouring your money into a metal machine that loses value every day, You are putting it into financial systems that gain value over time. When you trap yourself in an expensive car payment, you are stealing from your future self just to look good today. When you choose a modest, affordable car, you are accepting a boring commute today so that your future self can be financially free. The main thing to remember is this: do not ever let a car dealership tell you what you can afford based only on a monthly payment. They do not know your life, your goals, or your other bills. They only care about selling the car today. You are the only one who has to live with the financial consequences. Always look beyond the loan. Calculate the gas based on real life. Get real quotes for insurance before buying. Expect maintenance and budget for repairs. And recognize that every mile you drive is slowly eroding the value of the car. If you are brutally honest with yourself about all of these combined costs, you will make a much smarter decision. You might end up driving a car that is a few years older, with manual windows and absolutely no seat warmers. But when your friends are stressing out and going into debt because they cannot afford new tires for their luxury truck, you will be calm, comfortable, and financially secure. Understanding the true cost of owning a car is one of the biggest and most important steps you can take toward taking control of your money. It is not about never having nice things. It is about making absolutely sure that the things you buy do not end up owning you. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.